Okay, hello and welcome to Narayana Eyes. I'm Pratik, your faculty for daily news analysis. Students, in today's DNA, we are going to focus on four most important topics from the Hindu newspaper. But before we begin, let us go through a motivational quote so that you're motivated enough to understand all the four topics that we shall be discussing in today's DNA session. So what is today's motivation quote? One day or today you decide when you have to achieve your potential, when you have to achieve your goals. So it's all about time, it's all about planning, it's all about strategy making, it's all about commitment, it's all about perseverance until you clear your examination. So make sure you're committed enough, you're motivated enough to work hard, to keep trying until you succeed the examination and also your life. So let us go through the topics that we shall be discussing in today's session. The first topic is taken from Hindu page number 1. Now in this article we shall be understanding the importance of the northeastern region. The importance of northeast region, the geopolitical aspect, the geostrategic aspect, how North is important for India's foreign policy. We'll understand the challenges and what we can do in order to overcome the challenges the Northeast region is going through or facing. So this is the first topic. The second topic is taken from Hindu page number 11. Now given the way how the uh, the warfare or how the warfare is changing face, in this context we shall understand the importance of the integrated theater command. How integrated theater command can help our armed forces to coordinate better so as to tackle the adversary much more efficiently. The third article is taken from Hindu page number 1. In this article, we shall be understanding about an intergovernmental organization in the name Financial Action Task Force. The fourth article, which is taken from Hindu page number 13. In this article, we shall be understanding the lending instruments, which are the different lending mechanism instruments of the IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, that it uses to disperse funds to different countries. So these are the four topics that we shall be discussing in today's DNA. Let us start with the first topic. The title is Northeast to be a gateway for trade with Southeast Asia, is what the Prime Minister of our country has mentioned yesterday. So this topic is important. We'll understand the importance of northeastern region, and this you can map under GS paper 2, under governance, under GS paper 3, Indian economic development, and also under security of our country. Now questions on northeastern region have often been asked in the examination, as it was asked in the year 2017. So this is a question that was asked in the year 2017. What is the context? Let us try to understand the context. Now see, recently the Rising Northeast Summit, Rising Northeast Summit took place, right? Now this was inaugurated by the Prime Minister of our country, Mr. Narendra Modi, and this summit highlighted the growing strategic and economic importance of the entire northeastern region. If you see, the northeastern region is no longer viewed as a, let's say, distant and underdeveloped border region. Nowadays, instead, the northeast region is now seen as a front runner of growth. The northeastern region is now seen as a front runner of growth, and it is also a very key gateway to connect to Southeast Asia countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, So the government of India is working to unlock this potential of Northeast, and how? By building better infrastructure, by improving the connectivity, by making investments flow in the region, and each and every action taken by the government of India, or the actions being taken, aligns with India's Act East Act East policy. So this policy, it aims to strengthen India's ties with the Southeast Asian countries. And then to connect to the Southeast Asian countries, India is looking at Northeast as a gateway, as a bridge to connect to Southeast Asian countries and boost the trade, economy. I hope you understood the context. Now students, let us try to understand few basic things about India's northeastern region. Now see, the northeastern region, right, it includes 8 states. Which are the 8 states? So 1, Arunachal, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya. These are the 7 sisters and 1 state, that is Sikkim. So 7 sisters and 1 brother, that is Sikkim. So the entire northeastern region, it makes up 7.9 percentage of India's total land area, and it constitutes around 3.8 percentage of the total population. And this shows that while the region is large, huge, its population is relatively, comparatively smaller to other parts of India. Okay, so I hope you understood the basics, or let's say basic information about India's northeastern region. Now, if I talk about the geographical features of India's northeastern region, so this region has a diverse geographical zones. Now, these zones include the eastern Himalayas, then the Patkai Naga, Lushai Hills, the Meghalaya Plateau, the fertile plains of Brahmaputra, and the Barak valleys. Now, this diversity gives the entire northeastern region rich natural resources and, let's say, different climatic zones. The northeast also is rich in biodiversity. It has 2 globally recognized biodiversity hotspots, and which are these? One is the Indo-Burma, the other one is the Eastern Himalayas. So these are 2 biodiversity hotspots, and these are the areas with high levels of plant and, let's say, animal species that are often found nowhere else in the entire world. So this is the geographical feature of India's northeastern region. Talking about the ethnic and cultural diversity, the northeastern region is home to more than almost 200 ethnic communities and tribal groups. And these groups, they have their own languages, customs, the clothing, traditions differ from one ethnic group to other ethnic group. The culture of the region, so culture of this region is influenced by the South Asian as well as the Southeast Asian culture, the tradition. And this unique mix of South Asia and Southeast Asia, it gives an advantage to our country to promote soft power, that is to use the culture and values for influencing, or let's say building diplomatic relationship with these Southeast Asian countries. That's the reason whenever any official of a country visits these Southeast Asian countries, this focus on soft power, that is using culture, Buddhism, food values, habits, the traditional links. Talking about the historical context now, during the British rule, this region had strategic importance. Strategic importance. Why? Because this region acted buffer, as a buffer between or against China and Burma. Burma is the today's Myanmar. But after India's independence, the political boundaries of the Northeast were shaped by the ethnic and the tribal identities, not just language. And this was different from other parts of India where linguistic reorganization was more common. Language was a factor behind the, let's say, reorganization of states. But here, the ethnic identity influenced the division of boundaries in the northeastern region. I hope you understood the basic idea or information about India's northeastern region. Now, let us focus on how the northeastern region acts as India's gateway to Southeast Asia. The first is vital connectivity corridor. See, the Northeast region is India's only land link to connect to Southeast Asia. It serves as an operational base for projects like the IMT India Myanmar Thailand Trilateral Highway and also the Kaladan Multi-Modal Transport Corridor. And these connectivity projects improve cross-border movement and trade. This is one. Trade expansion to ASEAN. ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It's a group of 10 countries. Now, India wants to develop the Northeast as a commercial gateway to the Indo-Pacific region, connecting with countries in ASEAN like Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos. How? By building better infrastructure and regional ties. This is how India plans to expand trade with these countries. Then the border trade initiatives. Now, there are few trade centers. For example, there is a place called More in Manipur. Then there's also a place called Nampong in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, these trade centers, they support local business and cross-border trade with Myanmar. And this creates economic opportunities and also, let's say, strengthens the regional links in the region. Then about the multimodal transport boost. Now, the BeamStech master plan. The BeamStech, again, it's a regional organization. This plan of 2018 to 2028, BeamStech stands for Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral, Technical and Educational Cooperation. This BeamStech plan, it aims to build roads, railways, ports, air networks in the India's northeastern region, which will improve regional connectivity and cross-border logistics. This will herald a new phase in India's northeastern developmental journey. This will also reduce the tension, the ethnic tensions in the region. So this is India's gateway to Southeast Asia. Now let us try to understand the geostrategic significance and national security border interface. If you see, first is border interface. The northeastern region, it borders 5 countries. Which are these 5 countries? One is China. The second one is Myanmar. Then we have Bhutan. Then we have Bangladesh. And then we have Nepal. These are the 5 countries with which it borders. It makes it strategically important and sensitive region for India. The Siliguri corridor vulnerability. Which is the Siliguri corridor? This one. So this is the Siliguri corridor which connects India to India's northeastern region. Now talking about the Siliguri corridor, it's also called as chicken snake. This is the only land route connecting the northeastern region to the rest of India, which makes it a security risk during conflict and requires an alternate backup routes in case the northeastern region is cut off from India. And this is a threat that we have from China. Buffer against China. Now, Northeast acts as a protective barrier against the Chinese aggression, especially in areas like the Doklam and the Chumbi Valley, where India's border with Bhutan and China meets. Chumbi Valley. So this is, you can find Chumbi Valley in the Google Maps. You can find Chumbi Valley. Right. So it acts as buffer against China. Then natural resource security. Now, northeastern region has a 58,000 megawatt of hydro power potential. Then, along with hydropower potential, it has large oil and gas reserves in the Assam Arakan basin. There is also rich biodiversity. It makes it essential for India's energy, water, and also the ecological balance. Right? So this is about the natural resource security, that is geostrategic significance of the northeastern region. Northeastern region in India's foreign policy architecture, neighborhood first interface, which essentially means that northeastern region directly connects with 5 countries, and is key to land-based diplomacy and people-to-people exchanges. Key cross-border projects. We discuss which projects. For example, we have projects like Akhura Agartala railway link, which connects India and Bangladesh, and then access to Chittagong and Mongla ports in Bangladesh help reduce India's over dependence on the Siliguri corridor and support easier regional trade. So, India can connect to this. So this is Bangladesh and this is India's northeast. So we can connect to the Chittagong and Mongla port, through which we can connect India's northeastern region. But given the tense relations with Bangladesh, we now have to find alternative routes to connect to India's northeastern region. The BBIN connectivity push, which is the Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal motor vehicles agreement. This improves free flow of goods and people across Assam, Sikkim and neighboring countries, and then this will make travel and trade more seamless and more easy. The beamstick pivot, that is the central point. Now the northeastern region acts as India's physical link to beamstick countries, like we have Bangladesh, we have Bhutan, we have Nepal, then we have Myanmar, we have Thailand. So it supports India's sub-regional leadership under the beamstick transport plan, which is to connect with the Southeast Asian countries by focusing on, let's say, trade and movement of people between these regions. Now, economic revival and policy realignment. Now, the northeastern region is becoming a hub for sectors like we have bamboo, then we have tea, then we have petroleum, then we have ecotourism, then we have bioeconomy, then we have sports. and this is actually attracting both domestic and foreign investments. Massive investments, for example, big companies like the Adani Group have pledged more than 50,000 crore investment in the upcoming 10 years. It shows the confidence of investors in the development of northeastern region. Act is to act fast, which means we have moved from the symbolic look east to act is now we want to also act fast. Or 700 visits by union minister in recent years have fast tracked development and governance in the entire region. Then policy reforms for fair trade, which means the government has closed, right, certain land ports with Bangladesh to support local industries and protect them from unfair competition from Bangladesh, and this also ensures regional economic balance. Right? I hope you understood the importance of northeastern region. Now let us try to understand the challenges that the northeastern region faces. One is the insurgency and the ethnic tensions, which means many states in India's or northeast face insurgency and ethnic violence that India witnessed in a state called Manipur. This affects peace and stability. These tensions make it difficult for government to function and discourage investment in the region. That's the reason to bring lasting peace, there's a need for inclusive political dialogue and also a better social and economic development and security reforms so as to make the region suitable for investments and thus the development. Infrastructure deficit. See, although the improvements have been made, the region still has weak roads, railways, and power infrastructure. So the poor connectivity and also the power cuts, it makes it hard. It makes it hard for the industries to focus on the region to, let's say, better or to deliver services. So we need better government services so as to attract investments in the region to unlock the region's full potential. Infrastructure projects must be fast-tracked and made more region-specific for the development of northeastern region. The geographical remoteness. Now see, we know that this region has difficult terrain. There are frequent landslides, heavy rainfall, and this makes transportation and communication very challenging. And this isolation increases the cost of goods, services, it reduces access to markets and makes it hard to attract skilled professionals or let's say the private investment into the region. Economic disparities. Now, despite being rich in natural resources, northeastern region states have some of the lowest per capita incomes and high level of unemployment. There's uneven development across states and this leads to youth migration and growing social unrest in the region as we witness in the state of Manipur. So there has to be focused planning, better public services and let's say skill building in the region to reduce these gaps. The last is the environmental concerns. Rapid growth is putting pressure on the region's fragile environment. We discussed yesterday when we discussing the concept of urban forest. So how it is important to balance development with protecting the environment. So uncontrolled use of forests in northeast rivers and minerals can harm the biodiversity and affect the livelihood of people. That's the reason the policies must balance economic growth with conservation of natural resources to protect the environment and also sustain the local communities. So these are the challenges the northeastern region has. Now the solution part. Way forward, how do we proceed? How do we approach now? First, to enhance connectivity and alternate routes. Now, the region should reduce its dependence on the Siliguri corridor. How? By building new highways, railway lines, or let's say inland waterways to connect to India's northeastern region. We need to have better air connectivity and digital networks to reduce the isolation of India's northeastern region, and this will attract investment in the region. Next is to promote peace and social harmony. Now, see, the governments must strengthen peace deals with the insurgent groups like India had signed a peace deal with the NSCN Isaac Munga group. Why? Because this will promote inter-community dialogue. Then along with this, we need to have inclusive welfare programs which can empower the local institutions to help build trust, and also this will prevent the conflict further. Sustainable resource management to protect the resources. Now see, the regions rich hydropower, oil, forest wealth should be used with eco-friendly methods. Local people should be involved in managing these resources so that economic benefits are shared by people across the spectrum, and thus the nature is also protected. And it is very important to boost skills in the people. That's the reason you need to start vocational training, startup support, and job link education, which can suit to the demand of the region's youth. We have to encourage the MSME industry and let's say business so as to attract, or let's say this will create jobs in the region which the local people can utilize for their own growth and development. The last is to strengthen regional and international cooperation. We have to work with neighboring countries, Bangladesh and the Southeast Asian nations, so that we can coordinate with these countries to focus on trade, culture, and infrastructure. We had to use platforms like the BeamStack and the BBI, and that is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, to better integrate the northeastern region with the Southeast Asia, which is a growing region, and ultimately to the Indo-Pacific region. This is how we can ensure the growth and development of India's northeastern region. I hope you understood the entire topic about the northeastern region and how we can ensure, how we can take steps, frame policies for the development of northeastern region. Let us move on to the next topic now. Creation of theatre commands will kickstart next generation of reforms in the armed forces. So we'll understand about the concept of theatre commands. Now, such type of questions can be asked in the examination, but let us try to understand what the context is. Now, this topic is very, very important to understand. So, now see, India is planning a major military reform. How? By creating integrated theatre command, by creating integrated theatre command. Now, this change is being led by the Chief of Defence Staff. I hope you know about the CDS. So, CDS, this position has been created to work to plan the integrated theatre command, the feasibility of integrated theatre command, what all things the defense ministry has to work on in order to bring the integrated theatre command into practice. So the chief of defense staff is leading this project. And what is the goal? The goal is to improve the operational efficiency. What? The operational efficiency to ensure better coordination between the army, navy and air force, and to make India ready to face modern security threats, So let's say if India is attacked by Pakistan, China and Bangladesh, then in that case we have to be ready to face threats from all these three regions. And this reform, the integrated theatre commands, is one of the biggest changes in India's entire defense system since independence. So let us try to know more about the integrated theatre commands. The foundation of military transformation, the theatre commands. First is two stream structure. One is force application, the other one is force generation. Now see, this new structure of ITC, it divides the military work in two parts. One, force application, the second one is force generation. So what is force application? Now, force application means planning and carrying out military operations like attacking your enemy. And this will be managed by whom? By the theater commanders. Force generation, it includes training, maintaining, maintaining equipment and preparing the forces for the battle. And this will be handled by the service chiefs of the Army, Navy and Air Force. So their work is to prepare the forces for battle. They will, this force, they will be the ones, the theater commanders will be actually leading in the battle. And this separation makes it easier to focus both on fighting and preparing for war without any confusion. So they will lead the battle, they will prepare the forces for battle. The next is service chief's new role, focus on raise, train and sustain. Service chiefs, that is Army, Navy and Air Force, which essentially means that they will no longer control how forces are used in battle. The service chiefs will focus on three tasks. One is to raise, which means to build new military units and to recruit the person. Then to train, to ensure soldiers are well prepared for battle through proper training. And the last is sustain, that is to provide weapons, supplies, vehicles and other support needed to keep the forces ready and strong. And this allows the theater commanders to focus only on the operations use of the military. The third is joint structures enhanced inter-service synergy, which means currently the Army, Navy and Air Force, they often work separately, even in the same area. Under the ITC, Integrated Theatre Commands, they will work together under one command in a specific region. And this joint structure of Army, Navy and Air Force will help in faster decision during war or emergencies, clear roles and coordination among the services and more effective joint operations in land, sea and air cyber, or let's say the space warfare. Fourth, resource utilization, better use of men and material, which means that when services work separately, Army, Navy and Air Force, there is often overlap in resources and competition for funds. So with the establishment of theater commands, the soldiers and equipment will be used much more efficiently. The wastage will be reduced and planning and budgeting will be unified for better results. And this approach helps in getting more value from the existing defense resources and to restructure the goal, that is operational, to maintain the operational effectiveness. See, the main aim of the reform is to improve India's ability to win future wars quickly and efficiently. The modern conflicts involve not just land, sea and air but also cyber warfare, space assets like the satellites and also the electronic systems. So, a theater-based model, it ensures all these parts of defense work together in harmony. This will give India a strong and coordinated response to any threat coming. I hope you understood the concept of theater commands. The question is, does India currently have any theater commands? So the answer is yes, India has only one operational theater, which is called the Andaman and Nicobar Command, the ANC. This is a tri-service command, meaning it includes people from Army, Navy and Air Force. This ANC, the command is located in Port Blair and this was created in the year 2002 or 1. It's 2001. It is responsible for the defense and surveillance of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Why? Because this island holds strategic importance in the Indian Ocean region. So the ANC, the Andaman and Nicobar Command, it allows all the three service chiefs to work together under one commander. And this improves coordination in the region. Now, this is in the ocean. But India does not have any ITC across the mainland of our country. It is still under planning and implementation. The aim is to shift from service specific commands, like let's say the Army's Western Command, the Air Force Western Command, to a joint integrated theater command. Now, what is the significance and future implication of the integrated theater command? One is the cultural shift, breaking the traditional silos. Now, the Chief of Defence Staff describes this move, that is to establish ITC, as a move towards theatre commands, as a major shift in the military culture. It will require changing the mindset, especially among the senior officers who are used to working in service specific roles. Now, this reform pushes the military to act more as a unified force rather than separate branches. The next is reform timeline, that is long awaited and urgent. Now, since taking office, the Chief of Defence Staff has spent over 22 months, more than 2 years, to prepare for this transformation. This delay shows that the change is complex and sensitive. It involves both operational and administrative adjustments as well. Then, despite the delay, the reform is very urgent and necessary to keep the India's military ready to face any kind of challenges. The need for jointness, that is ITC, in the 21st century warfare. See, the modern warfare is no longer limited to just fighting on land, let's say sea or air battle. It includes cyber attack, satellite warfare, and rapid multi-domain, let's say, responses. To respond effectively, the Indian military needs jointness, where all the three service chiefs or three services plan and operate together. This is not just a theory; it's now a strategic necessity for a country like India, which is facing many threats from all these sides of our country. And then lessons from global militaries. Countries like US, Russia, China already use theater command structures. Their experience show that such systems lead to better coordination and faster response, and also the operational efficiency only improves further. And then what's the way ahead? Yes, to implement the ITCs, the Integrated Theatre Command, we have to update the military doctrine and also reform the training system. The officers will need to learn how to operate in joint environments and also lead the integrated forces of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Of course, this will require new syllabus, curriculum, joint training programs, and possibly to restructure the military academics as well. I hope you understood the concept of the integrated theater commands. Let us move on to the next topic. India to push watchdog FATF to put Pakistan back on its grey list. So here we'll understand about FATF. So questions have been asked on FATF like it was asked in the year 2021. What is the context? The context is that Pakistan was removed from the FATF grey list in the year 2022. It when Pakistan promised to carry out anti-terror reforms. This includes to pass a new law to crack down on terror financing. Which is Pakistan promised that okay fine, we will act on terrorism. That's the reason Pakistan was lifted out of the FATF grey list. But now India is again preparing to submit a document to the Financial Action Task Force, and India wants that Pakistan should be put back in the grey list. Why? Because India believes that Pakistan has not done enough to stop funding the terrorists and supporting the terror groups. And that's the reason India also plans to oppose around 20 billion funding from the World Bank to Pakistan. Why? Because India feels that such funds actually are used by Pakistan to support the terrorist groups, or let's say terrorists which are waging a war against India. So this is the context. Now, what is FATF? It's an intergovernmental organization. It was founded in 1989 on the initiative of G7 to develop policies to combat money laundering, to misuse money for illegal activities. In 2001, its mandate was expanded to include terrorism financing. So, the money being used to support terrorism. Objective to combat money laundering, terrorist financing and other related threats to the integrity of international financial system. Headquarters, please remember, decision making, the FATF plenary is the decision making body of the FATF. It meets 3 times here. So this point is, so all these points are very currently has 40 members, including 2 regional organizations, the European Commission and the GCC. India became a member in the year 2010. Categories or lists under FATF: 1, the places countries various categories based on the level of compliance with international standards for anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism. And which are the categories? So these are the categories: regular follow-up, enhanced follow-up, blacklist, grey list, no follow-up. Which means regular follow-up, countries generally comply with FATF recommendations but have minor areas of non-compliance. Next, enhanced follow-up. Countries report progress every 2 to 3 years due to significant compliance deficiencies or higher risk. Blacklist. They are high risk jurisdictions subject to a call for action. Countries with severe strategic deficiencies requiring enhanced due diligence and potential countermeasures. Grey list. Pakistan was under grey list. These are jurisdictions under increased monitoring. Countries actively working with FATF to address strategic deficiencies and subject to increased monitoring. No follow-up, countries with no significant deficiencies in the system after a mutual evaluation. So these are the categories. So please remember all these categories and the purpose of these categories. This can be asked in the examination. Right? Let us move on to the next topic, which is the IMF confirms Pakistan funding issue didn't come up for voting. So here it is important to understand the lending instruments of the IMF. This can be asked in the examination. So now what is the context? Context is that the IMF has confirmed the approval of 2.4 billion funding package to Pakistan without a formal vote. India has abstained. Why? Because India believes that the funding that Pakistan receives is misutilized for supporting the terrorist groups. Now, what more on the news? So, it's the same thing that India believes that the money that Pakistan is receiving, Pakistan is misutilizing, which means the IMF is giving money, dispersing money to Pakistan so as for Pakistan to work on its system, that is to implement, to devise policies to make reforms in the economic system. But India believes that this money that Pakistan receives from the international bodies is misutilized to support the terrorist groups, and these terrorist groups, they wage a war against India. Now these are the lending instruments that you need to remember for your prelims examination. Now one is standby agreement, which means these standby agreement, it addresses short term or potential balance of payment to finance the imports. This is what we understand with the concept of balance of payment. So to, let's say, to buy or to import goods into your country, you need dollars. How do you pay the money? In dollars. So you need dollars. The beneficiaries are the emerging and advanced market economies like India. Duration is 12 to 24 months up to 36 months. Repayment is 3 to 5 years. The second one is standby credit facility. It is similar to SBA for short term or potential balance of payment problems. Low income countries not applicable. Grace period is 4 years, final maturity 8 years. Extended fund facility addresses long term balance of payment problems due to structural impediments, hurdles to growth. Emerging and advanced market economies, right? Typically 3 years, 4 to 10 years is the repayment. So again, so these are the different lending instruments and the purpose, the repayment period. So again, just remember 2 to 3 most common lending instruments, that is more than sufficient for the examination. right? So make sure you are downloading the notes. So these are other lending instruments. So I want you to download the notes from the comment section. Please visit our website to download the DNA notes and keep a note of this because this can be asked in the examination. And if a question is asked on the lending instruments, that question would be possibly kept under the category of difficult question. So if you want to get a difficult question correct, then please make a note of this table, keep it, revise it before the examination. That will help you to also ensure that the difficult questions, you're in a position to attempt the difficult question and get the question correct. Let us go through questions now. First is the means practice question. Discuss the geostrategic and economic significance of India's northeastern region in the context of India's Act East policy. What are the major challenges faced by the region and suggest suitable measures for its sustainable development? Very simple question. In the introduction, talk about India's northeastern region, the importance of northeastern region, the population, the landmass, and then in the body of the answer, first focus on the geostrategic and the economic significance. So these are the geostrategic and economic significance. We have discussed each and every point under this dimension. The next is challenges and way forward. Very simple question. I think we have discussed each and every dimension under the strategic importance, economic importance, the challenges, the solution. Now these are the questions based on topics that we discussed yesterday. So let us go through these questions. The Amrit Bharat Station Scheme aims to transform railway stations into modern, vibrant and accessible urban. Yes, this is correct. The scheme only focuses on upgrading old railway amenities and does not include the provision of new infrastructure. This is incorrect. Indian Railway owns more than 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Yes, this one correct. India has the largest railway network. No, it has got the third largest railway network after, I think, fourth after US, China and Russia. So this one is also incorrect, which means 1 and 3 option A is the correct answer for question number 2. Which of the following international conventions specifically deals with the suppression of financing terrorism? A straightforward question. The correct answer is option C. Which of the following statements about the Cobra Force, the Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, is correct? So, it's a special unit of the CRPF for anti-Naxal operations. Straightforward question, very simple question. Option C is the correct answer. And then these are the questions based on the topics that we discussed yesterday. The first question is on FATF, the second one is on the ITC, the third one is on the policy support instrument, and the extended fund facility are related to the provisions of lending by which of the following? Very simple question, right? So I want you to please answer in the comment section, and that brings us to the end of the DNA. I hope you understood all the topics, and make sure to hit the like, subscribe and share to as many people as possible. On this note, I call it a wrap. Thank you so much for watching.